Hi, I'm Leah, and I'm going to be showing you my process video from start to end. So first, I'm going to be picking out photos. I tend to pick out photos as a batch, so I have like 3 or 4 options of lawn layouts to work on. And so I'm going to be picking out photos. I have them organized in Totally Tiffany Fab files, mostly by chronological sections, like after college, and then I'm pulling out some college photos, and then I'll pull out some high school photos, and then I'll pull out some pre-high school photos. I like working on pages that are from different time spans because my albums are mostly chronological, at least in chunks. And if I make layouts around the same time, they tend to look similar, so I want the most similar looking layouts spread out across different albums. Plus, I tend to be inspired by different photos from different time periods. It's sort of more fun this way. And that one came with some journaling, because previously I'd printed the photo and written down the story. That one I just pulled out as the one we'll be working with today. But I'm going to pull out one more photo, and then I'm going to pick out backgrounds for all of them. And I think it inspired me to do this layout when I was watching a Shimelle video from her Ready Set scrapbook, and one of the 3 process videos was of a single photo on some really fancy paper. And the idea was you don't want to save the supplies that you like the most, you should use them right now, which is something everybody says, but it was very practical because it was like, here is a layout that you can use and you can mostly see your very fancy paper. And I immediately thought of these kraft cardstocks. I have these 4 that have different gold foil, and then that one with the black raised dots. And I also have this pad of embossed kraft. And so I picked the gold on kraft, and then I'm going to pick out different ones for the other photos. Most of them are going to end up being foiled, although I tried to love the embossed cardstock. Okay, so we're doing this, I think it's called a quadrifoil, gold foil on kraft. This is so fancy, it comes in packaging, unlike every other kind of paper. I believe this was a Bazzil Basics. And so I'm putting the photo where it's going to be, so it's about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom in her layout, and this one's on the left because everybody's facing to the right. And so there's going to be, I'm making a sketch, I'm not sure how well you can actually see that, but so I have a sketch of the photo, and then there's going to be something behind it, and there's going to be a title to the right, like a whole box around it, and then some embellishment on the upper left-hand corner, and then some journaling below the photo. Those are like the 3 areas, and like the thing you can do with this sketch is to swap up the journaling versus the title versus the embellishments. And so I've stuck the journaling draft I have there so that I kind of know how much journaling is going to be there. And like if it's a little bit wider, then like it should work out okay. Like that's like not a totally unreasonable amount of writing to put on this sketch. And so now I'm going to be picking out more 12 by 12 papers, just because I don't have that many paper scraps yet. Most of them are either R12 by 12 right now or R6 by 6. So I'm considering what to mat the photo on, and I'm considering what is going to go on that full width panel behind it. And so I'm considering, I believe red and navy are the colors I'll be considering throughout. So it's going to be like kraft and gold and red and navy, which I think is a really pretty color scheme. And so my 12 by 12 papers are also in Totally Tiffany Fab files, just the big version. And so I'm going through, this is the red through green section. Multicolor and yellow through orange to pink are in a different one, and my neutrals don't currently have a box. So I've gone back to the blue section, pulled out a navy. I think might probably consider a few more navies, or navy-ish colors, to see how they coordinate. I'm also going to be using gray as a second neutral in here, but a relatively light gray, not the sort of dark bluey gray that I was pulling out there. I was also considering green because there's a lot of green in the photo, but I don't really have a green that I like with this, even though that green was a pretty good match for the grass. So I'm going to pick out embellishments now. So all those like smaller things, 6x6 paper and smaller. I know there's some 12 by 12 paper in there, but I'm not using any of it today. So this is everything that's themed. I sort my stuff either into rainbow by color or based on like the pictures or words as to what it means. And so we flipped past animals and books and celebration, and now we're looking at the feelings section. This is where I stick sort of since there's relatively few like explicitly negative things or like sort of encouraging because things are going poorly things in scrapbooking, I put all those together under feelings, along with things that I don't know have some other like they seem like feelings to me. And I'm looking at friends now because this was like I was playing in a soccer tournament with friends in high school. And so I'm looking at, I have examples of some stamps, I have a lot of Project Life cards, and I have some stickers. When I do 12 layouts, I use way more stickers than Project Life cards, so I need to do some more pocket scrapbook to use those up. Oh, that was me pulling out, I have some sports-themed stickers in games. Taking a look at health, because this was exercise, was all running around. Home, and then flipping back past travel, all the way to the calendar, which is where I keep things that are sort of outdoorsy, hiking themed, and also weather related. And this was clearly a sunny day, so I figured I could pull out the sunshiny stickers to see if those would be a match. And so I grabbed a Project Life card. I'd probably have to cut that up to use it on the layout, and the stickers. And I'm checking, this was from the end of June, so I'm going to see if I can get some summer-themed things, so things that say June, preferably. So I got some stickers there. I think I also consider that Project Life card that says June. And then that's all for themed stuff. Like, I'll probably flip through the back of the calendar, but that's it. And next, so this binder, because it doesn't fit in my mini scrap rack, more from Totally Tiffany. So I'll put the themed binder back, and then I'm going to pull my kraft binder, which is the like 3 spinder version of the scrap rack. And this is where I keep my alphabets and numbers, and then neutral starting with metallics. So I'm going to be pulling some gold stuff. Since there's gold foil on the background, I figured more gold foil goes. And so I pulled some sequins, which I'm excited to use because I just got those recently. I didn't previously have sequins. Also anything that seems like gold foiled. But not sparkly gold. Oh, this is also exciting. So I also recently got gold foiled vellum in 6x6. And so I'm picking out one of those to use. And so I pull out that chevron. I think it'll go well with the quadrifoil things. I'm looking for some soft gray, and then because I think I pulled some soft gray stickers from the feeling section. They're like from Ali Edwards' Brave story kit, and so I'm looking for similar grays and also other dark grays that will go well with the navy. I'm also going to need a place to write, so I'm pulling out some options for that. I decided not to use wood veneer because it'd be just too much with the kraft because they're different, very neutral browns. Don't want the cork also too close to the kraft, like very similar but yet different. I think this is where I get my journaling lines from. Yeah, because I look at the bold stripe, but on the left over there, I'm also going to pull out that narrower stripe. So I'm adding a dark brown. So I have I have kraft, I have the dark chocolatey brown, I have a relatively bright red, and then the navy, and then gold. So a fair amount of colors on this layout. Although I guess not like super item, but for trying to keep it to a like relatively narrow color scheme. I'm checking in. I put the multicolor stuff at the beginning of the rainbow rather than the end because I want to look at it all the time to see if it coordinates with the color scheme I'm actually using. And then I flipped past yellow, orange, and pink to red. I have tabs on the edge to make it possible to figure out where the next section is, even though you can't really turn the pages by the tab. I pulled out some washi tape. I keep my skinny washi tape in the rainbow. Thicker washi tapes, you have to just leave a sample because they don't fit in the pockets. And so I'm looking at, So I got some 6x6 pads of paper, and so I have a fair amount of blue and red 6x6 paper. Like, that seems to be the most common color, especially if you include aqua in with blue. I have a fair number of. I'm picking. That's a piece of a tag that I saved. That's navy. Um, Considering whether that transparency might work on the cardstock or the vellum. So looking at everything I have that's navy, I'm going to pick some relatively plain navy things. And also the navy and red, since navy and red is the color scheme I'm using here. I think those came from. I got those pretty recently. There's like some kind of sort of patriotic looking. Those I was pulling out my Pop Dots, my off-brand Pop Dots. So a lot of this navy is coming from the 6x6 pads are coming from this like vaguely patriotic one that has like buffaloes on one of the other sheets, but also a lot of like denim and florals. So now I'm picking out stamps, and so I have my stamps in a 4x6 Totally Tiffany fab file. This video is not sponsored. And so I'm pulling out any stamps that I think might have relevant sentiments. Like, I do index them in the scrap rack, but there's so many sentiments on each one that, like, it's easier for me to look through a single box of stamps and pull out the ones that I know could work. And so I have Ali Edwards' Brave Story stamp. I'm also using Ali Edwards' Black Butte ink. That's just the black one. I also have her kraft. This one is the first one was Brave. This one is Friends, and then I also have. This is a very like I don't know. I will categorize this one as Project Life. It's from I don't know where I got it. It was just like in some store, but it has. I picked it out because it has a lot of. It might be One Little Bird. It has a lot of labels, like sort of the outlines of labels. And I didn't have any label stamps before, so now I have some label stamps. And it also comes with like some little ratings, so I figured maybe I could rate the like how good the tournament was in stars and how much fun it was to hang out with friends in hearts. And I also just got the set of banner stamps, so I'm excited about fishtail banners, so I figured I might end up using that at the base of the embellishment cluster. So I don't actually end up using any of those stamps, but I wanted to show you the entire process. I'm trying out this thing where I stamp a bunch of the stamps into this sort of like page kit stamp index of like these are things that would be relevant to this topic, but I don't actually use any of them. It worked better on I did a previous page that I also did the stamp index for, and it worked really well. I used like 3 different relevant stamps that were from 3 different stamp sets, and I felt really good about utilizing my stamps. And then I feel like the foil background on this page combined with the neutral being a navy, like there wasn't a lot of places for me to stamp. And like I had some little stamps that might have fit in between the quadrifoils. Like there's a little "We Are Rad" from the Friends stamp, but it just didn't line up with the rest of how the page went. So mostly I'm using my stamps to stamp index pages. Topical index pages for the layout. Yeah, it takes. I'm really bad at matting photos. I tried really hard to sort of get the edges even, because I wanted a little bit of a white border around that, and I'm gonna pop this up on Pop Dots. Usually, like if I pop up anything on a layout, it's the photo because I figure the photo is like the most important thing on the layout. Like there's the journaling, but that's like a sort of I tend to write small, so that's like an optional detail. Okay, so I have the paper cutter out. I'm sorting, so I pulled out that big pile of stuff. Most of it is not going to end up on the layout. Someday I'm going to learn not to pull out way more stuff than I'm going to use because I'm going to have to put it back again. But so I pulled out basically everything that might be relevant. I'm choosing between the navy and the red as the background strip. I want to use that bright red Do Your Best card because, like, do your best in the tournament. It seems like extremely topical, and so then I need the navy so that the red doesn't like really sink into the background. I also like the navy with the kraft and like the green, the navy, and then the green, and then her bright red uniform. Sort of, I think all go really well together. This is a gold foil on white card that I was trying out. So I'm trying out a bunch of like Project Life cards to the right, as like especially the ones with big text. This one can be like the title. And while I'm fiddling with that, I'm cutting down some of the vellum to be sort of an inside stripe, bringing the gold to the front. One of the things I didn't notice here while I was doing it is that, so I meant to have this navy cardstock has two sides. It has one with dots and one with, oh sorry, there I wanted to grab that clip that I've been trying to use forever. It says, "Oh, what fun! It's Christmas themed. I don't do much Christmas scrapbooking, but it can also be used sarcastically," which is what I'm doing here, because this was not the. It's a little bit, overwhelming. Soccer, I did not totally know how to play soccer before playing in this very casual tournament. But so I wanted that navy cardstock is printed. It's printed on both sides. One side has a polka dot, and one side has another quadrifoil. I meant to put it on the polka dot side. Just so it's not exactly the same pattern in a different scale. But I ended up noticing it when I put the adhesive on it, and it was fine. Like, I put the adhesive on the dotted side, and I was like, oh, well, I guess a quadrifoil side is going up. So I'm separating the photo some more from the navy. I gave it some brown. I meant to leave the brown over there to put the title on, but I failed to do so. So I'm also matting it with a little bit of red. Just like adding more layers to make the, I don't know if you noticed the pause after that first stripe of adhesive, which is when I noticed that I was going to be quadrifoil side up. This is me realizing that if I put the photo not centered, but to the left as I had intended, I had not cut enough vellum. So I've decided to cut another strip because I'm trying not to be too precious about the vellum. And so I'm going to use one chunk that I already cut to the left, and then I'll use the remainder. This new thing I'm cutting is going to be to the right. And so my tonic 8.5 cutter, I would not recommend. I don't like how the blade lines up. It's much harder to cut very small amounts. But the 6-inch one is excellent. And so I swapped over when I realized this was small enough to do on the 6-inch cutter, which works beautifully. And so I'm setting up. I'm trying to figure out. I'm fiddling with this a bunch. I'm trying to figure out how do I want my red and gray and navy on top of the gold foil, but not too much red because I have this tournament sticker that I'm going to use as part of my title, soccer tournaments. I go for very direct titles generally. And so I've got a little bit of embellishment cluster on the upper left with that navy washi tape sticker, the gray tag, and the red Everyday Bravery. And then to the right, I'm trying to figure out how I want to combine things. And I'm thinking I want to have some more red, so the tournament is not alone. I actually really like the red on the edge of that label that's red. I pulled off one of those dark red stickers. Those are from Ellie Edwards', I think it's a Reflect story kit from December 2016, 2017. Anyway, so what I want to remember most is what I put on in the middle of the journaling, so I could have like some space to say what happened, and then at the end to be a little bit more reflective. I also use, some of those are more general, like some of the other stickers on there are like not journaling prompts, but it just sort of like more general like words or phrases. And so I've stuck a couple of those elsewhere on the layout to bring that same maroon red. This is me trying, so like I'm pretending that I have 12-inch vellum instead of 6-inch vellum, and it took me a while to find something that was a straight edge that would hold still as I try to line up the vellum. This worked remarkably well. So Everyday Bravery was a chipboard sticker, but if you peel and stick it off of wax paper, chipboards are pretty delicate, and so often you lose the back layer and they're a little bit thinner. Not a huge deal. And now, because I stick adhesive near the edges, because I like my edges to stick down, I have trouble sticking things under them, like the navy washi, although that went pretty well. And so at this point, because I can only stick the vellum down when it's underneath something, so underneath the photo. I figured if I moved it up a little bit so it was slightly under the clip, it would help the vellum stay flat. I like it when things stay flat. I'm trying to deal with this. There's a space, this awkward space between the Everyday Bravery chipboard and the little like, oh what fun clip. And so I tried punching a couple circles, which is my first option for how to fill in an awkward space in this like very neutral way. It took me a few tries. Eventually, I did use that last circle in brown that I cut. I'm trying to use this. I tried to use a second sticker from the sports themed ones, trying out some stickers from the feelings themed ones. The sort of things aren't going super well. I think I managed to use two of those gray stickers that I've had for quite a while. I want to use these red stickers because that red picks up the red of the tournament sticker, the one that just like says tournament that I have on that red label. So I'm happy that these reds that are from completely different sets, completely different manufacturers, still coordinate pretty well with each other and her shirt. And so I have the bright red, the dark red, the kraft, and then the dark chocolate brown, and I have a navy, and the photo is lots of green, although there's no green elsewhere on the layout. And so I pulled out those, I noticed those gold foil stickers, and so I got Remember up at the top. And it's a chipboard sticker, so it's pretty delicate, so having peeled it off the original packaging and stuck it to the wax paper means that it was, I had to try to do some surgery on it to glue it back together. I poked through my letter stickers and found some navy ones. These are from Ali Edwards. I was very lucky that I had enough letters to spell soccer, and then I put them down incorrectly. So this is me trying again. Trying to get them maybe straight. I'm not very good at getting things super straight. I decided that I don't care that soccer is running off the edge of the label. You can still read it just fine on the gold foil vellum. And then I put June 2007 on top of it, which is when this photo is from. Because I like not scrapbooking super chronologically, I like putting the date pretty big. And that's a gold foil chipboard hello from the same set as the Remember. I trimmed it off a bit to make it fit. So Hello June 2007 Soccer Tournament is, I guess, my full title. Because I got glue on something underneath it, the photo was getting a little bit like getting stuck to the paper underneath it instead of staying up with the pop dots, and so I was just fixing that. I'm putting down some gold sequins, those ones I was so excited about. I picked the medium and the small sizes, and I'm using, so this is the pink roller is the permanent dots adhesive from Tombow, as opposed to the blue one, which is the permanent just like tape one that's solid. And I like the dots one because you can get it even on little things like sequins. You can get like a couple little diamonds of the sticky stuff on them, and that's like enough for something small like that. I'm trying to use up the blue Tombow adhesive first because I like the pink ones better. So I'm just going to switch over to only getting pink refills once I finish off this last set of blue. And that's the completed layout. I'm actually super happy about this layout. This is my favorite layout that I've done so far in like a couple years of scrapbooking. I'm really happy with how it came together and how I got to pull just about every element of this page came from a different kit, a different pad of paper, and it's like I did the journaling a while ago, and that worked out well. I got to reflect a bit more because I didn't have to think as much about the details. I like how the page is balanced. I like that there's not a ton of embellishment. Like I've been trying more layers because I've been imitating Glitter Girl, but that sometimes looks like too much. And now this is like just enough layers and just enough embellishment. And I got to use lots of shiny stuff, and it's not super overwhelming. I guess maybe you could say that gold foil and a summer soccer tournament don't really go together. But I really like the gold, and I don't think it hurts the soccer photo at all. So the goal of this video was to sort of show you the things that are different about my process, that I use the scrap rack, the 4-section system from Totally Tiffany, that I use a kraft binder instead of a full scrap rack, and that I spend the time to tear every paper pad apart into the rainbow, and also to separate all of my stickers by theme or by rainbow, depending on how general they seem. And I don't have a ton of stuff. I think you basically saw every piece of paper and every sticker that I have, other than the pink and yellow 12 by 12s. But because I have less, that means that I can actually spend more time organizing it so that I can pull it out as soon as it's relevant, which has made these embellishment clusters super fun. Thank you for watching for like a whole half hour.